Making mama proud, popping it like shot. Turn up, it's a gangster body.
Ain't never popped a Mari, but if I ever catch Mac, I'ma pop a Holly. I don't even rob a cop the Harley. Blowing so much green, I shame Marley. Yeah, I push the line to its full limit. Hit the hole like 22, boy, I'm a young Emmett. Nothing go like snow, now that's a cold image. Still whistling, sending, knocking them white women. Only reason I do it to avenge image. To the day they go before anything box me out. Knowing me, it don't matter, I simply change my route. On my hobby.
Where's? Welcome to the Damu Kiwe conversation. Home of the West Coast. The voice of the culture. Man, Stand On the Media really got me going last night. And this morning I woke up and everybody's sending me the can of worms. CS2 Back that opened up with this when he done shot himself in the leg. Pause. You know what I'm saying? He done shot himself in the leg. Oh, hold on. Where is that? I don't even see the video. Hold on. We gonna get it though, because people been sending it to me anyway. Like, you seen this? You seen this? You know what I'm saying? Let me see what we got. Let me see. DeMarco. Okay, I think this was it. No, this ain't it. Hold on. Let me just go grab it up off of matter of fact, we don't even gotta do that. Let's go here real quick. We gonna start off with this one, and this will allow me to go ahead and grab all the other content. I just had to jump on here and knock this out. I just hit my grill, got my coffee, and got right to it, bro, because I knew that y'all was gonna want to hear this from me. Oh my God, Chat GPT is flaming CS2 Back. I'm talking about worse than I probably have ever done it. You know what I'm saying? Me or Scandalous, and that says a lot. Speaking of most Scandalous Los Angeles TV, you know what I'm saying? I was on with him, and he went to this old video. He never get to go back and watch his videos. He makes them, he kicks them out. Sometimes he jump in and see who's in the chat. You know what I'm saying? And try to communicate so people appreciate, you know what I'm saying, him pulling up. But you don't necessarily get to watch these after he make them. And this one, he watched with me on the phone. So we finna get to this content. I need y'all to pay attention. I'm gonna grab the other content.
Scandalous Los
and we're
Angeles
gonna break
TV,
it up.
where we expose the exposers. The other day, y'all saw what Young Ant did. He went on No Jumper and actually asked Dragonfly Jones about being CS2 Back, something we've never seen Vlad or Adam 22 do. And after watching that, it really got me thinking. It's crazy that Porky has been sitting over there on No Jumper all this time, and yet Adam still hasn't asked him a single question about CS2 Back. Not one. So it made me stop and think. In all these episodes, all these interviews, all these appearances, there are literally millions of questions Adam never asked him. So I sat down and made a list. A list of questions Adam never asked in over 100 shows together. In this episode, we're going to take a little trip down memory lane. We're going to revisit the lies. And I've got 20 questions right here for anybody out there who really wants to go viral. Here's your blueprint. 20 questions for CS2 Back. Guaranteed to get the internet talking. All right, first question for Porky. Hey Porky, what would you call a black man who goes on a white-owned podcast and tries to implicate another black man in a murder they didn't commit.
We only talked about you a little bit.
Right. Now, unless he want to talk about how he lined his son up to get killed for the insurance money.
See, what is
we
that?
ain't talking. We can talk about it. We ain't talking about it. How he got some responsibility in getting, old boy killed that they love up there in the Bay. These niggas roll blunts with their kids and pop perks with their kids because they think it's cool.
Why do you think he gave his son lien?
It ain't about thinking, it's about what we know.
How do you know?
Did he collect the life insurance?
I don't know. Do you know?
Well, that's a fact.
Even if that's true, don't you think
That's a fact.
it's kind of ugly to be bringing that to the table?
Yeah, that ain't he got the other man smoked. After the murder, when Quando went back to Georgia, what did he immediately do? Dropped his flag? There it goes. What was he claiming? Roll 60 script. Where Brick Baby from? Roll 60 script. What do you think the police told Quando? That the Roll 60s set him up? Who you think he checked in with? Roll 60s? With who? Okay, I see where you're going with this. I'm not going to say
it.
Listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
I'm not going to say it.
No, listen.
What's the word for that, Porky? Do you have any examples of a black man doing something like that? Sitting down on a white-owned platform with millions of subscribers and attempting to tie another black man's name to a murder he had nothing to do with. What do you call a black man who moves like that, Porky? I'm just curious, in your own words, because it sounds real familiar. Second question, Porky. Why did you go on Vlad TV and lie about doing time in Soledad?
So by the time I left there, I hit Soledad. Now youth authority, I already ran through that. So at 16, I'm in Soledad.
Why make that up? If there's no Soledad time in your record, why fabricate that story? And while we're at it, why did you lie about the C blank Wack story? You know the one. Why'd you make that up too?
And I went to reception, and they put me in cell with a G homie named Baby Wayne from Village Style Power Room. And I think at that point is when my penitentiary training started. Because he had been to prison 2-3 times. The good thing about Baby Wayne was a knockout artist. And when you were a young Power Room in the cell with a G homie, you're gonna fight at least 3-4 times a week just because. So, he kind of got me stronger with my push-up game, my physical game, and he made me squabbling him every day, almost. So by the time I left there, I hit Soledad. And Soledad was that was the birth. That was the birth of CK Wack.
Was that just another case of you trying to build up your fake rep? Next question. If you're not CS2 Back, then why have you spent the last 2 years telling so many lies about him? Why did you lie and say, the paperwork said he was a low-level drug dealer?
Now listen, if you read the paragraph, you read the word, the word said, whoever this dude is, he's a low-level drug dealer, and he's in fear that his family members in the main streets will be hurt.
Everyone's gearing up for the holidays.
Damu Kiwe conversation. Hold on real quick.
Where did you get that from?
So he's talking about him being a low-level drug dealer. Well, we'll break all of that down one by one. Let me take a note of that, though, to make sure we do that. The low-level drug dealer. ChatGPT is going to break that whole paperwork down to CS2 Back, as well as this Texas gun case. Oh, my God. I told them I was the one that I was Wack, basically. Oh my God, bro. Wack is worse than I thought. I swear to God, bro. It's worse than I thought, bro. He's dead bang. There is no more questions about it. They leave no questions. And it's going to explain so much. Y'all just hold on and stay down. Then we're going to get into the other video, smoked out video, and then we'll get into the Chat GPT breakdown. Let's go.
Because it's not in the paperwork. Also, why did you lie and say the paperwork said that CS2 Back was in fear for him and his family's life in the main streets?
He didn't.
When the paperwork doesn't say that either.
Never says.
It also doesn't say that CS2 Back was from Main Street. Why have you gone out of your way to make people believe that lie? And more importantly, why did you lie and say the Deuce added the name back to the paperwork?
He's winning credit, some fake work, and add some back shit. You don't see that, use a bozo. I'm done talking about that shit. He's winning credit, some fake
Well,
work, and add
he's
some
back
back
talking
shit.
about it. It just won't go away, will it? CS2 Back. He's updated, added some back shit, but now he's back talking about the Texas gun case, which is same and parcel to the same argument that he CS2 Back. So he just can't get away from it.
You don't see that, use a bozo. I'm done talking about that shit.
You told us to go ask Mark Stevens and Stutterbox if you were CS2 Back. Why did Mark Stevens tell us that you were CS2?
And do you, in that paperwork, do you see your conversation with Cash Jones in them transcripts?
That was the initiating. That was the initiating when they started recording.
Right. And how did they refer to Cash Jones?
In the paperwork, they put him as, they put him as Back, B-A-C-K.
Why did Stutterbox tell us that you were CS2 Back?
I call Wack. My Rolls Royce gets shot up. My girl almost get killed. I lay on top of her. We make it up out of there. Wack see the bullet holes in my car the next day. He reaching out, trying to contact a nigga who's supposed to be the boogeyman. I know where the nigga live at, behind my back. It's in the paperwork. All on wiretap. It's in the paperwork. All on wiretap. It's in the paperwork. All on wiretap.
Next set of questions, Porky. What kind of relationship do you really have with Greg Kading that makes you feel so comfortable lying on his name all the time? Why did you lie and say Greg Kading owed you a favor?
Officer Greg Kading and Darren Dupree or some shit.
All these
We
lies.
coming outside on the stairway, me and my attorney. They stop us. They say, look, man, we can't afford this.
Y'all hear him? Just so y'all know.
You know, I'm beyond the gated community. I'm claiming I'm embarrassed.
Y'all remember, he admits that he went and talked to the FBI at FBI headquarters on the Sunday. And we got proof from Greg Kading saying that. So y'all make sure y'all remember that.
I got to move my family. My wife is traumatized. She kicked my dough in. I'm putting extras on it, right? Right. They said, listen, man. They advised my attorney. My attorney said, look, dude said, drop the case, and they owe you one. If you don't drop it, right, then you know what come with that. My attorney's talking to me. He know my personal business and say, you know how you are every day, so you don't really need that in your mix. So I said, well, listen, I don't need no motherfuckers hemming me up every day. We figured out as we figured out. I leave it like that.
Sparkleberry lemonade? He came for the sparkle. She went for the berry. But what they found was something.
Because when Greg Kading was asked about it, he said you were lying.
Okay, all of that is absolute bullshit, except for the fact we met him at his lawyer's office. We sat down. We said, "Here's the deal, man. You know, we've had."
Now we heard Wack admitting that he met with them at FBI headquarters, and now you hear Greg Kading admitting that they met at Wack's lawyer's office. That's two different meetings this man then had with the Joint Federal Task Force.
This case against you. We came up empty-handed. You know, sorry that you got caught in the middle of this. Somebody put your name out there. We didn't know any better, so we followed. You know, we gave fucking Stutterbox the benefit of the doubt. Here we are. You know, was there an apology? I don't know. It's my style to kind of apologize. Sorry you had to fucking go through this. But nonetheless, it is what it is. The idea of suing us, fucking bullshit. Us having an agreement like we owe you one, bullshit.
And while we're here, why did Greg Kading say you were lying when you claimed you freed Shaquille O'Neal and the 7 Main Street Crips?
Right. I call my man Money Mark. Right.
Mark. So Wack is admitting that he called Money Mark. Remember, I'm noting all of this. Admits to calling Money Mark. I talked to dog.
Left right hand man, his business partner. I said, yo, Mark, check it out. Call my attorney. Tell my attorney I said put you online with that federal officer. Have your attorney call that federal officer to the stand. Well, first tell him to call Box to the stand. You want him to do one thing and one thing only. Ask Box if he's a federal informant, documented. Everybody from LA is in the courtroom, he's gonna lie. Trust me, I know he's gonna lie. When that happens, I'm giving you a jewel because Shaq looked out for me. Right? I don't need this favor, so I'm passing it to you. Have your attorney call this Greg Cadence in, have him take the stand, and then let him tell the judge, present the documents he had, fingerprints, all the paperwork, the payments they've been paying this dude every month to show that this dude is a federal informant. At that point in time, Box has perjured himself on the stand. Whatever allegations against Shaq and anybody else tied to the case, they got to kick it out.
The idea of him having anything to do with the trial.
Just anything connected to Shaq or anyone else having to do with the case. So with that case, he's talking about the attempted extortion of Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens, as well as the kidnapping. That's how he got off. Let's go.
File of when Stutterbox went to testify, and the thing fell apart. Cash had absolutely nothing to do with any of that. So he's just taking all of these pieces of information and putting them together like he was the puppet master. It's all absolute bullshit.
Why did you lie and tell everybody that Greg Kading was the lead detective in the investigation?
We got Reggie Wright, top right. Reggie Wright contacted Greg Cadence. Greg Cadence was the lead investigator on that case. Greg Cadence was the lead investigator on that case.
You said it over and over, like it was a fact. But the paperwork doesn't say that. And Greg Kading himself said it wasn't true.
Damu Kiwe.
The 2026 RX-10 and AX3
lineup
So Greg, let me ask you, because the people want to know. When Wack brought you on Clubhouse, he introduced you as the lead investigator on the Stutterbox case. Is that true? Were you the lead investigator in that case?
No, that's not true. No, that's not true.
Why did you let Lieutenant Officer Love's boys get on his platform and lie on Greg Kading too? Why let him tell people Greg Kading was the lead investigator in the case?
Jones, we don't usually use monikers under those circumstances, like Wack or Wack100.
Okay, so this is the lead detective in the investigation.
When the paperwork clearly says otherwise. The paperwork says Mark Stevens was talking to Del Dog. And he told Del Dog that a guy named Back wanted his number. And when you look at that paperwork, it clearly identifies Back as being confidential source number 2, or CS2 for short. So if the paperwork identifies Back as CS2, and that's who Mark Stevens and Del Dog are talking about, why did Greg Kading say that the conversation they were having in the wiretap was about you, Porky, if you're not CS2 Back? But you're agreeing that in the transcripts we have, it's Wack that Mark and Del are talking about in the conversation they're having, right?
Yes. And I think Wack admits that. And I think Wack admits that. Like,
you can't really think it ain't your strong suit, Greg Kading. Greg Kading said verifies that's Wack they're talking about. That's Wack that Del Dog and Mark Stevens talking about on that wiretap. Let's go.
This whole thing with Back, it would have just been CS2, typically just left alone, CS2, because
So right here, Greg Caden admits that the paperwork says CS2. You know what I'm saying? So that he admits that he's talking about cash. Del Dog and Mark Stevens on that wiretap. We know this is who we're talking about. And Chat GPT will also verify that, as well as the paperwork verifies that's who they're talking about. That's who called Mark Stevens trying to get in contact with Del Dog. That's who said that the phones is compromised and that Stutterbox went south. Now, Greg Caden is exposing another lie that Wack100 said by saying in the paperwork it says CS2, right? Back. Listen one more time, because I don't want to have to go back. Let's go.
About you, Porky, if you're not CS2 Back. But you're agreeing that in the transcripts we have, it's Wack that Mark and Del are talking about in the conversation they're having, right?
Yes. And I think Wack admits that. And I think Wack admits that. But this whole thing with Back, it would have just been CS2, typically just left alone, CS2, because the investigators all know who CS2 is.
But in a wiretap, aren't they supposed to type exactly what they hear the person say?
But that's not what you're reading. You're not reading. Pardon me, I'm getting stuff. So the conversation is there. You can see the conversation, right?
Right. And they're using his name as they're talking. The boy Back wants your phone number. The person who transcribed the wiretap is typing that Mark is saying Back, but Mark is saying that he was not saying Back. He was saying Wack. And you already agreed that these guys are talking about Wack right here, but it's just using the name Back until the last paragraph. In the last paragraph, Mark Stevens actually says the Wack Boy.
Okay, so he's talking about Wack.
Another round of questions for you, Porky. Why did you spend so much time lying on Spider? Why did you make up that story about you and him going...
back that up, because I didn't even hear him say. I didn't hear Greg Caden say CS2. Oh, there we go.
That Mark and Del are talking about in the conversation they're having, right?
Yes. And I think Wack admits that. And I think Wack admits that. But this whole thing with Back, it would have just been CS2.
It would have just said CS2. So it's saying that the paperwork, the wiretap in question, says CS2. So if this federalized LAPD Special Task Force leader is saying that the paperwork says CS2 Back, how could Wack then later claim that Lamonte, his opposition, is the one that made up this fake wiretap, that the wiretap was fake? It can't be. Let's go.
Typically just left alone, CS2, because the investigators all know who CS2 is.
But in a wiretap, aren't they supposed to type exactly what they hear the person say?
But that's not what you're reading. You're not reading. Pardon me, I'm getting stuff. So the conversation is there. You can see the conversation, right?
Right. And they're using his name as they're talking. The boy Back wants your phone number. The person who transcribed the wiretap is typing that Mark is saying Back, but Mark is saying that he was not saying Back. He was saying Wack. And you already agreed that these guys are talking about Wack right here, but it's just using the name Back until the last paragraph. In the last paragraph, Mark Stevens actually says the Wack Boy.
Okay, so he's talking about Wack.
Another round of questions for you, Porky. Why did you spend so much time lying on Spider? Why did you make up that story about you and him going way back to the juvenile side of the county?
That's what we gonna do. How about we say Spider Low gave Black Wall Street a pass today. So Spider looks at me because we go back to the juvenile side of the county. Spider.
This nigga's a Y'all just heard him on the internet saying I never been to jail. I didn't even know this much of a lie was a... I didn't know he said that. Oh, no.
Why did you insert him into that story about 40 Glock pressing game and spitting all over his car? Why bring Spider's name into something he had nothing to do with? Why did you lie about J-Rock? First you said he swung on you, missed, and ran.
So you guys had a relationship. This is who J-Rock was to me. J-Rock was my son's personal security.
Jermaine struggled for years with dental issues.
Kiwe, conversations. Hey man, y'all go ahead and bang that like button. Let's go.
So, okay. That's just like if this brother sees me, right? And he's walking up. He's not looking at me as a threat. Oh, that's Wack. Right? Mm-hmm. So my first time taking J-Rock to the 60s, Big U sons didn't want to do something to him. But we was in the alley off 42nd. I had to stop it. Right? We was on our way to Vegas to do a show or whatever, right? So Nipsey used to call me about J-Rock. Hey, yo, Wack, man, did you have these experiences with J-Rock? Because he knew he worked when we was in Miami. J-Rock was with us the whole 30 days, right? I'm like, you know, he don't mean nothing by. Sometimes he'll slack up, whatever. It's cool, right? So as I'm walking up, and we running a little late that day, I believe, right? We running a little late, and we trying to get to the trailer because we got to get to the other side of Rolling Loud. So when I go to turn the corner, I believe Blueface goofing off doing something else. So the homies that's usually behind me on the side of me, they not there, and I don't know it, right? So I'm going to turn the corner. I feel something swing at me. I feel it. I take another step and thought about it, and I turn. And when I turned, I said, nigga, did you just try to fire on me? And he took off running.
But then you sat in front of Jason Lee and bragged about getting punched in the mouth by him.
That's really all that was.
But did he hit you and run?
No, he hit me and Ray got a good one in.
Really?
And I kind of like glad he did it, because I always ask myself, because, you know, I get off first.
This is what I'm saying. Like,
I get off, yeah, I'm fine, so yeah. So, but dude, like 300 pounds, so I always question, like, could you handle one of them? You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like a bad night, but a good night, because I'm like, shit, I ate that.
How many of 40 Glock's Instagram pages did you personally have removed because of those allegations involving the 16-year-old girl he was pressing on you about? And while we're here, why did you lie and say that Marion Knight would be out of jail in 90 days? And you were gonna help get him out?
Scared of Suge. I just talked to Suge. Suge just gave me his life rights to do his movie. Stay tuned. Yeah, Wack got the life rights. TMZ, whoever y'all looking, Wack got the life rights to do Suge Knight's movie as of 48 hours ago. We just talked for the first time. Me and the homie got settled our differences. You know what I'm saying? We was mad at each other. I got the life rights. Suge Knight, let me tell it, he'll be home in the next 90 days. I'm gonna prepare his bail, all that. Life rights is coming. The rise and fall of death row. When I'm scared of my homeboy for, what you talking about?
Why did you say that publicly when you knew it wasn't true? Here's another question for you, Porky. If you already know that Diamond Blue is in prison serving a life sentence, why would you go on Chuck's podcast and shout to the whole world that he murdered another woman when you knew that wasn't true?
Lying under a fake name.
How did you originally get into it?
Then he lined that girl up and had her killed. He got that girl
hold on, Wack, I want to hear this though. Hey,
ask that nigga why he got that lady killed in his penitentiary picture lined up.
This nigga is an informant. He always want to talk about a nigga getting killed and all this shit. This nigga's an informant.
Why are you so in love with placing false murder raps on people? And here's the last question for this video, because trust me, we're doing another one after this. You told everybody you were Loose Cannon's handler.
I'm Loose handler.
You made sure to let the world know that. We all see where Loose is at today. But since you were so comfortable telling us who you're in charge of, are you just as comfortable telling us who's in charge of you? You sat online with Big Chuck and told him straight up that you had a handler.
Chuck, we all have a handler, bro.
Stop it, Wack.
You do? I got a handler. I'm Loose's handler.
Hey, my handler tried to throw me
I got a handler. My handler, yo, Chuck.
I didn't see that clip with him.
We all got handlers, Chuck. We all have a handler, bro.
Stop it, Wack.
You do? I got a handler. I'm Luce's handler.
Hey, my handler tried to throw me.
I got a handler. My handler, yo, Chuck.
I didn't know that was the handler.
6 months ago, my handler, you ain't noticed I done bagged up off the app about 50%?
Yeah.
Because my handler said, Wack, contract's about to close, time to start shutting that down. My handler told me that.
Who your handler, R&B,
See, a handler ain't gotta be.
Hey, that's the real Bimmy or that's somebody trolling?
What?
That's Bimmy. I already sent him an invite. Oh,
Listen.
Bimmy, yeah. Bimmy, I told Bimmy to pull up.
Listen, a handler don't gotta be like, you know.
Yo, Bimmy, you gotta accept the invite.
You know, like Luz. Man, if I wasn't in this crazy year, this would have been on some other.
Man, I do be on the other. You just be stopping me.
Yeah, the handler's a motherfucker that you will listen to because you respect them and you know they got your best interest at heart. Lior has Kevin's best interest at heart, right? I got Lou's best interest at heart. My business partners got my best interest.
So the last question is, who's your handler, Porky?
I had a crazy idea. We were surprised that no one had done it
Damu
before.
Kiwe conversation.
Success?
Let's go. Shout out to Most Scandalous Los Angeles TV, the MF GOAT. And we're going to get into all of the other stuff, but let's go to Stand On It. Stand On It. Stand On It. Stand On It Media. My guy, one of the hardest working niggas off of Clubhouse. It's only a couple brothers that did content and sisters that did content on Clubhouse that were consistent enough, that were able to weather the storm enough to still have relevancy 3-4 years later. I'm one of them. Smoked Out TV is another one. So is Scandalous Los Angeles TV. And then you got Stand On It Media. And he needs to tell everybody about his story because he brings the content. If it's on Clubhouse, he gonna get it. And he got it. Let's go.
You said what you said. If you mean what you said, stand on it. Stand on it. Stand on it. Stand on it, media. We make you stand on it. We tell the truth because it's a demand for it. You know the business. I might even ran for it. They call him the press before he even ran through it. You said what you said. If you mean what you said, stand on it. Stand on it. Stand on it. You said what you said. If you mean what you said, stand on it. 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 Stand on it.
Top of the afternoon. Welcome to Stand On The Media. Salute to the Stand On The Media family out there. Salute. Happy, blessed, and salutations to all. If you're new to my channel, much appreciated. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment in this video. Please share the video, hit that notification bell. You will be notified when I drop my video. So we're going to get straight to the content. I've been a little bit under the weather today. I ain't really feeling too good, but the show must go on. Excuse me. We have Clubhouse TV for the content. Salute to them. The title reads, Wack100 pulls his Texas paperwork challenge backfires on mystery man after exposed. I don't know what that means. I don't listen to this stuff, so we're going to figure it out together. But we're going to get to the content right now, man. Salute to my Stand On The Media family. Thank y'all for supporting your boy, man. I appreciate everything y'all do. You know what I mean? Salute to y'all. Let's get to the content, though. Stand On The Media. Let's go.
We got the media team in here. We're the media team.
We got content. TV's in the go. We got TV in the go. You looking for that fire Clubhouse content? Well, you need to subscribe to the home. Hey, yo, Clubhouse TV. Let's get to the content.
That's a good one.
In the block. It's a dangerous world, bro.
What you mean?
Why you say that? Because it's like, come up, if you're successful, and you don't give the knowledge back, they say you selfish. But if you're successful and show that you're successful and speak about how you got your success, they call you arrogant. You create enemies that you don't know why, and now you become a target.
Yeah.
So it's kind of pays to just really don't say nothing and keep your circle real small, because everybody.
My energy bill dropped from $150 to $50 by doing this. My friends laughed at me when I spent
Yeah, I see. Stepped out the limelight. He came and got him. On some real shit.
Everybody ain't gonna like your success.
Hell no. That becomes a threat. Now that becomes a threat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a dangerous world.
You got to start moving different.
What's this word they use? I hate this word. What's this new word of the last couple years they use? What they call you? What they call this?
Diabolical and shit.
Nah, this other word they call you. They say you're narcissist.
Oh, narcissist.
Yeah. It's like I ask you, but what is the? Everybody got 50 different definitions. So I'm saying that you pretty much just giving a description of every human being. So this is a trait of something in everybody.
At the core of it, yes. Yep.
You're into yourself. Oh, okay. Yourself. Oh, okay. You see it your way. Oh, okay. Then they want to say, well, we praise you for being a leader. And for being bold. Well, shit. The same shit you praising me for in order to be these things, I got to be the other things. So which one is it?
That's just a word they use, man, to make you scratch your head because you ain't never heard of narcissist.
I like, yo, man, whoever created that word, everybody uses it. It's like over the last 3-4 years, it's just a word just erupted.
You see, like, if you look at, like, the stories of, like, Napoleon, you ever read any of the Robert Greene books, like 48 Laws of Power, Art of War and shit? Those traits of those big leaders, they was narcissists. They had to be that way.
I mean, shit, hey, listen, if you call me I'm a narcissist for being a leader, for making bold decisions, for standing on what I believe in, for taking a risk in my decisions, I guess that's what I am.
Bruh. People think it's a negative connotation to it. It's really not. It's just when they apply it to, over the last couple of years, they've been applying it to this relationship bullshit. So they say women narcissists, men narcissists in relationship. That's why people thinking it's a negative connotation.
Yeah. And then they got the shit off the internet. Them niggas made me look up the definition themselves. They seen it on TikTok. That sound like somebody I know. And then he gonna call me that.
G-Wayne, let's see if he step up to the let's see if he step up to the back. Check your text.
All right, hold on.
I lined him right up. Lined him right up. I got all my Texas paperwork in. I'm gonna go to the Kinko's this morning, let them turn into an attachment. We're gonna run a room on it. I show a nigga how you supposed to do it. Don't run from it, nigga. Run a room on it, nigga. Put it up for the world to see, boy. I guess he called me a narcissist. He thinks this, always that. You goddamn right. You right, I'm gonna beat my chest out of here.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if because he hit me with that about a week ago. See, I set him up with a laugh. I said, okay, don't worry about it. So, got it. So now we gonna go paperwork for paperwork.
Damn.
Yeah, no response. Damn.
Yeah, we need your case number.
Damn.
Here go mine. Can I get yours?
Wow. Wow. Man. Sorry, stage. Y'all don't even know.
Yeah.
At
least it only assumed.
Man.
My paper, I get yours.
Man, that same Texas case we try to run with it.
Yeah, I went and got all the hard copies. It's crazy because it's straight to the point. Like, as soon as we go over the work, as soon as I give it to y'all, Lavish, you gonna see exactly why the judge did what he did. The arrested officer called lying on the stage.
Man.
He lied, you understand? Like, what's your reason for your suspicion? Well, he told me he just left California the day before on the 15th. And when I got his registration of the rental, it showed the 16th. This is what the nigga wrote in the police report. My attorney on record says, is this the rental receipt? Yeah, that's it. Can you read it to me? April 15th, 2005, 12 noon. Well, can you show me where you got the date April 16th from? Oh, I guess I made a mistake. What just happened?
Save up to 30% on
Damu
small group travel
Kiwe.
during G Adventures.
Conversation.
No, you don't.
Throw that whole shit away.
Yo, so now let me tell you what a judge know. He Lavish. We filed dismissal subject to illegal search and seizure. Guess what the judge do?
We got to throw it away.
He don't give us he don't give us that.
Dick suckers.
Right? But guess what the judge know? You just done got on the stand on the earth on record and just said one thing in the seat that you said you used the right to read as another. Right? So the judge puts I know what he's doing. He want to see if I'm going to get in some trouble. I'm on the road. I ain't even in the streets. I'm on the road. The judge knows if this shit go to the next level, superior, what's about to happen.
Case law, they gonna open up all this shit.
They gonna know, first of all, you, officer, you in trouble, and everybody you didn't put on bed to come. And judge, you didn't grant them motion, and your ass to go. So know what the judge did? I dismissed in the interest of justice.
I was just sitting here patiently waiting on him to say it. I was sitting here patiently waiting on him to say it. Let me just tell you this. Wack is a liar. And you know what he just did? He just effed himself. He really just effed himself. I don't know why he did it. I don't know why he just didn't just leave it alone. I was on Clubhouse when he first talked about this case. I was in the room he was talking in before I had any idea that he was CS2 Back. You know what he said? And it's on recording unless they scrubbed it. You know what he said? He said that that case was kicked out in the interest of justice. I believe he also told Posted the same exact thing, that it was dismissed in the interest of, not in the interest of justice, I'm sorry, for illegal search and seizure. He said that I was in the room when he was breaking this paperwork down. He said that shit was dismissed for illegal search and seizure.
That's a fact.
Now, all of a sudden, when later on, when it was discovered that it was dismissed in the interest of justice, we didn't hear the interest of justice from Wack100. No. No. I first heard it from Duse M's. I don't know it posted. I don't remember it posted exposed the interests of justice. I don't remember. I just know I heard it through Duse M's.
The facts.
Never heard that this entire time out of his mouth until it was exposed on the airwaves. You're lying, bro. Why would you do this to yourself? Why would you do this?
Shot itself.
Now the people who want to believe you is going to have a hard time believing you because they heard you say out your own mouth illegal search and seizure. Then you went on Reggie Wright's on his channel and said that was when it came out that was denied. Then you said you got a second attorney. Where's these attorneys at? Bring these attorneys to the table. I need you to bring these attorneys to the table to fight on your behalf, Wack100, because you're lying. And you are lying to these people, man.
We don't even need the lawyers
I really think
no more.
you just committed suicide.
Yeah, he did.
And you just blew this whole thing wide open.
Yeah, he did.
Because you said out your own mouth that it was dismissed for illegal search and seizure. That's what you said. That's what you said.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's exactly what he said. And you're right. He just busted this shit wide open. But I got a little bit of help, you know what I'm saying? I put the paperwork in, and we're gonna get to the paperwork about and we're gonna get to old Debbie McLaughlin. I'm gonna look Debbie up since she retired now. I wonder if they made her retire, you know what I'm saying? For what her work with Duse M's the dime, you know what I'm saying? But let's get to Messenger real quick, right? So this is what happened, right? And we're gonna get into this well, I don't have to do that, I'll pull it up. What if I told you, this is what I tell ChatGPT, that I was an ex-felon caught in Texas transporting 3 guns across interstate lines from California. All right, so it says, I somehow managed to get released, then was involved in another separate investigation of Deja34 Records and was fingered as the person Robert Ross sent to tell Shaquille O'Neal and Mark Stevens that Robert Ross has a sex tape of Shaquille O'Neal and a woman not his wife, and that TMZ would pay a lot for that video, right? That's in the paperwork. You guys want to see that paperwork? Well, we could go ahead and go straight to we'll get to that later. Whatever, right? My house gets raided by the Federal Joint Task Force investigating Death Row Records, Main Street Mafia Crips, and Deja34 Records. The task force also stopped my diesel truck and searched that. Inside my home in Quartz Hills, Lancaster, California, multiple firearms were found. 2 days after the raid on my home, I admittedly went to speak with the Federal Joint Task Force at FBI headquarters in Los Angeles on a Sunday afternoon and was confronted about the guns being found in my home. As an ex-felon, I was also, let's get to that real quick, right? Confronted about the good move. Levi always trying to bully my space. Move, go. I know you don't feel good, Big Papa. You know what I'm saying? He ain't feeling good, but that's my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, let me grab this for y'all. Y'all don't have to wait. So I admit I'm Wack100, remember? I admit that my house was raided in Quartz Hills, Lancaster. They stopped my diesel truck, pulled me up out of that, searched that, and the house in Quartz Hill, Lancaster was raided, searched, and they found multiple firearms, right? You don't gotta believe me. CS2 Back admitted such himself. So we're putting all of these facts inside the chat GPT. So when we do these facts, I just want y'all to fact check that it ain't nothing that we are lying about. Let's go.
Who says, well, we still got your client on two different situations. He like, is that right? We'll put him on the table. We walking out of here, right? So first situation, he said, well, we found firearms in the house. He's an ex-con convicted felon. He can't be around firearms, right? So I stopped my attorney. I
Firearms, plural.
said, well, you ain't found no firearms in my house. He said, yes, we did. These firearms and such and such. I said, well, I ain't never seen them firearms in my life. He said, well, they registered to your wife. I said, well, what they got to do with me? He said, well, that's
And
your
they're
wife. I said,
registered
okay,
to
well,
his
what they
wife.
got to do with me? He said, well, you live in a home. I said, you can't prove I live in that home. Right? What, you got some cars?
So they find guns, multiple guns, and his argument was, you can't prove that I live in that home, right? But the crazy thing about it, he then all told us about him being this big real estate mogul, him owning multiple places, especially Palmdale, Lancaster. You could go on his timeline on Twitter and see him claiming that the Quartz Hills home was his. And then I know niggas be like, well, you know, niggas get on internet and do it for the gram. You know what I'm saying? And he just could have been welling, you know, putting it on thick. It really belonged to Kim. And most people would believe that, right? But Cash Jones' name is Cash for a reason, not only because his mama had him as a trick baby, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if they gave her some crack, you know what I'm saying, or what they gave him. But in this case, he was getting to the bag at this point. You know what I'm saying? He was really getting to the bag. And I'm gonna pull up the deed to the Quartz Hills house. But you can't say it's cap when you get the actual deed to the house. You know what I'm saying? See, one thing for sure, two things for certain. Damn, I'm going all the way up. This is old. Hold on, let me pause it so y'all ain't gotta wait. So we gonna go ahead and show y'all the Quartz Hills address. So he got caught with the guns. Ain't no ifs, ands, buts about it, right? Multiple guns, and he claimed that that's not his residence. But if you go here, you don't have to go far. Just go straight to, oh shit. Go straight to my messenger where I got the receipts in my messenger Facebook with Pops. I be sending Pops so much stuff. You know what I'm saying? Something happened to me, y'all go through that shit and find shit. But grant or the deed to the house, there goes the address right there. When recorded, mail document and tax statement to Cash M. Jones, Cash McElroy Jones. This is the deed, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's signed by Cash Jones, DTT Holding. Oh no, that's the one in Calabasas. My bad. Let's go back this way. This is the one, Grant D, Cash McElroy Jones. This is the one in Lancaster, right? This conveyance confirms community property interest, which was purchased with community money funds. R&T, Cash McElroy Jones and Kimberly Jones, husband and wife, as some tenants. Los Angeles described as a lot of tract in the city of Lancaster, County of Los Angeles, state of California. Cash Jones is the only signature on that property in Lancaster that was raided. So the feds couldn't prove that. Well, okay, Cash, you know what? We're not even going to argue on that. You could keep telling them dumbass niggas on the 100 EBT side that shit, and maybe they'll believe you, right? And then after they raided his home, I admittedly went to speak with the Federal Joint Task Force at FBI headquarters in Los Angeles on a Sunday afternoon. Now, mind you, I didn't say that he went to go speak with the Federal Joint Task Force. I didn't lie on that man. That man brought it to the internet and told on himself. Maybe he had a guilty conscience. You know what I'm saying? That's some psychological realms where people believe, you know, killers love coming back to the scene of the crime. They really want to confess, serial killers, of what they did wrong, right? This is what CS2 Back is doing, knowing that Big U already told Dale Morrison to stop fucking with Wack. He was an informant, and he ran back and told Wack. And he already had told Marley Marl, stop fucking with Wack. He was an informant. And he ran back and told Wack. So Wack is saying all of this, trying to get ahead of the conversation. So he says the gun, but let's do the entire full video so you can hear him admit he went to the FBI office. Oh, this is nasty work. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we still, because I like even to find something in the house, you didn't find nothing. I still didn't know because Stutterbox, they gonna break down everything he did. And like, yeah, out of nowhere, he came in, gave us this man's name, told us he had a trucking company. If you want to get to Suge, you got to go through him. He moving cocaine and dope from here to there.
Stutterbox came to them for no reason and gave up Wack100 name. No, Stutterbox went to them and gave up Wack100 name because he told them Wack100 was the one who went to try to extort Shaquille O'Neal and Money Mark Stevens. He told him about the sex tape, and Wack100 went and shot his shot trying to extort Shaquille O'Neal and Money Mark Stevens. That implicates Wack100 into blackmail or extortion. Y'all don't believe he's capable of that? Y'all can suck my dick. Let's go.
They spent $300,000-$400,000, nigga, with wires, tracking devices, all kind of shit. They came into my crib.
You chilling with the answer.
I lost a dog that day. My dog Wacko, one of my bulls. When they hit the back gate, he locked on the nigga. They had to shoot the nigga like 7-8 times.
Man.
Kill him. He came in, cuffed my wife. It was like 40 agents, my nigga. And couldn't find shit. Had to walk up out of here. He sent them. He had a moment. They thought they was going to find something in the house. He didn't find nothing. I still didn't know what time it was.
Say they didn't find nothing in the house.
So when they come in, they hit my home office. They was searching about 18 minutes. When they got to the home office, dude called the search off. Because one of the reasons why they went in front of the judge, they filed some shit called living beyond my means, which kind of supported their probable cause, along with their confidential informant that they paying. He's a reliable source. So they watching the lifestyle. So when he come into the crib and he hit the home office, he sees, well, actually, let me rewind. On paper, Cash Jones make $30,000-$40,000 a year. That's it. As a Social Security number, I don't make no money. So they looking at everything and they like, this don't add up. But what they failed to do was run everything. So when they hit that home office and they seen all these different corporations and they seen these cars under this corporation, these houses under this corporation,
this or this. He then knew everything was justified on my side, right? Because like even today, I haven't had a personal bank account 15, 16 years. Everything I do is up under a corp. I don't give a when I get gas, it's up under a corp. Whatever I do is I'm operating up under a corporation. So they take my files, uncuff my wife. They take her. She had two guns, legal guns in her name.
So he said it was two guns.
They take.
Remember, he said there was two guns. Greg Kanan said that all they found was one gun, and it was his wife's father's old raggedy gun, alluding that it might not even be it might be inoperable. Here, you hear him say that there were two guns specifically. Let's go.
Those. Call my attorney. We go down to the federal building off of Wilshire and Sepulveda, whatever.
And Wack admits he goes down to the federal building off Sepulveda. You know what I'm saying? So we know it wasn't just one gun. For sure, we know that it was multiple guns, right? So once Wack100 gets up there to the federal building, he was confronted by the joint task force of being an ex-felon with these guns, and to have been on a wiretap, to been talking about the weight of drugs. Y'all can listen.
That shit is down there. Now this one I knew what time it was. When I go up to the 50th or 60th floor, nigga, we come out the elevator, nigga, ain't nothing but FBI flak jackets walking around this. About 2 months, maybe about a month or two prior to this happening at my crib, Stutterbox invited me to this spot called Stevie's on the Strip, soul food restaurant. So when I get there, it's two females there. It's two females there, right? Now, most people move a certain way. I'm really an eyeball type of nigga. Wack don't do, I ain't off into. So when I get there, it's him, it's two chicks at the table. I sit at the table. What up, Box? What you need me for? Oh man, nigga, just get you out the house, nigga, hang out a little bit. Two women, two of my homegirls, this, that, and other. I said, oh, okay, yeah, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? About 5 minutes, he said, I'm finna go to the bathroom. When he go to the bathroom, the chick start popping. She telling me she from New Orleans. She came out here to meet with this nigga. This bitch ass nigga ain't answering his phone. She come out here every month to buy 5 keys, all this shit, right? So when she talking, I'm looking.
So now he's talking about this FBI Creole broad who was working with the Joint Task Force, is talking to him and conversating with him about 5 keys, right? So pay attention.
At the bitch, right? Bitch bad. So when Box come back, I tell him I gotta go to the bathroom. So I make my way to the bathroom. Instead of making the left, I make a hard right to valet. I get on up out of there.
You chilling with the answer.
Right? When I got to the 60th floor, T-Money, guess who I saw the FBI flak jacket? The bitch.
That's crazy.
Right? So I say, damn, that's the same bitch. So by now my antennas go up like, damn, I'm saying this nigga Box with a fed and don't even know it. This one, I still ain't know what time it is, right? So we get into the conference room. They got like 7, 8 feds, whoever they little leader is, whatever y'all call him. I'm sitting down, me and my attorney going crazy. We filing a lawsuit, harassment. Y'all embarrassed my client. He lives in a gated community. He can't live there anymore. Homeowners Association is filing complaints against him because you guys came the way you came. His neighbors are frowning upon him, all this shit. We playing for the bag, right? So dude says, well, we still got your client on 2 different situations. He like, is that right? We'll put him on the table. We walking out of here, right? So first situation, he said, well, we found firearms in the house. He's an ex-con convicted felon. He can't be around firearms, right? So I stopped my attorney. I said, well, you ain't found no firearms in my house. He said, yes, we did. These firearms and such and such. I said, well, I ain't never seen them firearms in my life. He said, well, they registered to your wife. I said, well, what they got to do with me? He said, well, that's your wife. I said, okay, well, what they got to do with me? He said, well, you live in a home. I said, you can't prove I live in that home. Right? What, you got some cars that's registered to a corporation? Matter of fact, I said, can I go in my back pocket?
You got some cars that's registered to a corporation. The files they got out of his office were pertaining to cars registered under a corporation, right? So you're talking about cars that might have been tagged, similar to the same joint task force arresting Tanisha Swan for. And remember, Wack100 claims he was transporting cars from the Mexico border to up the West Coast. Nasty work. Let's go.
My wallet. What's this? That's where I live. I've been a resident of Oklahoma since 2003. I got 13 houses on my portfolio. Which one you gonna put me in various states? Right?
All they got to do is put you in the one they found the guns, nigga. The D's in your house, nigga. You're responsible for it. Let's go.
You see that? Commercial driver's license. I'm a truck driver. So you putting some guns on me that's in a California residence, but yet I pay Oklahoma state taxes? Help me understand it. Let that go. Second thing they had against me, they press play, wiretap.
Wiretap. So I tell ChatGPT that when I got to the FBI headquarters, admittedly, I got to FBI headquarters, I was confronted about the guns being found in my home as an ex-felon and being confronted about being caught on the wiretap, believed by the task force to have been talking about the weight of drugs. But I tell the head of the task force that call is me talking about luxury cars. I was moving on my diesel. I challenged the task force to prove that I lived at the Court Hills address. I remained free from jail 6 years despite all this interaction with law enforcement before my attorney on the Texas gun case filed a motion to suppress evidence found in my rental car in Texas based upon illegal search and seizure. That motion gets denied by the court. Then a month after that denial, which also is coincidentally a month after the Main Street Mafia Crips are indicted, my Texas gun case is dismissed in the interest of justice. I have changed my story on why my case was dismissed publicly several occasions and denied any involvement with the Main Street Crips investigation, despite public investigative reports of my neighbor and friend Robert Ross implicating me as the friend he sent to pass on the blackmail extortion message of sex tape to Shaquille O'Neal and Money Mark Stevens. And Mark Stevens' interview with the sheriffs who worked with the task force corroborated that fact. So you got Stutterbox telling them he sent Wack with the extortion message, and you got Mark Stevens confirming that that's who came and told him and Shaq about the sex tape. Mark Stevens and Robert Ross later both accused me of being the confidential source on the phone call with Mark Stevens trying to get a phone call with Main Street Mafia Crip leader Ladell Ross, Deldog, to advise him that Robert Ross went sour and the phones are compromised. Isn't that what the wiretap says? That confidential source was referred to as CS2 Back or the Wack Boy. I publicly stated that the transcribed wiretap was made up by a blood gang member. That's what he classifies me as. He doesn't classify me as CEO Active Chuck artist, CEO artist of Active Chuck's Duse M. No, he labels me a blood so that I can get, like I'm out here still shooting Crips every day or beating up Crips every day or beating up essays or busting on essays every day. This is what He wants to, the blood that's my op is added some back shit. A sheriff detective Michael Coet has publicly said that I was the only person arrested in connection with these investigations. Detective Greg Caden, who was the head of the Joint Task Force, later admitted that that was obviously me on the wiretap conversation with Mark Stevens and Liddell Rawls. What is the chances that I did not cooperate with these investigations to get off my legal woes, especially when the Texas case was dismissed in the interest of justice? Y'all want to know what ChatGPT said once I gave them all of the facts that we've been able to prove, right? By Mark Stevens' statement, by Stutterbox statement, by Stutterbox and Mark Stevens' statement to the Joint Task Force, by the wiretap. This is what we've been able to establish our statements of fact. Not no if, ands, or buts, right? So we're going to show y'all proof of this. We're done. We're gone. We don't even need gone. Roll your shit up in a little burrito. You know what I'm saying? So here it goes. ChatGPT said, I can answer this, but I need to be extremely clear. Let's blow this up. In bold, I'm not judging you. I'm not accusing you. And I'm not giving legal advice. I'm simply analyzing the logic, patterns, and probabilities based on how federal task forces, wiretap cases, and multi-agency investigations typically work. Short answer, honest, neutral, analytical. Based on the facts you yourself provided, the probability that someone in that situation cooperated in some form, whether formally, informally, or strategically, is very high. Why? It's very high, right? Because the combination of multiple gun incidents as a felon, interstate transport of guns, federal raids, wiretaps, extortion, adjacent allegations, connections to multi-defendant RICO adjacent investigations, meetings with task force leaders, staying free for years during active indictments, Texas case dismissed in the interest of justice after suppression was denied, is exceptionally rare for someone who provides no cooperation whatsoever. So all of these things are exceptionally rare to be able to when someone has not provided cooperation. That doesn't mean you were an informant, but it absolutely means law enforcement believed you were helping them in some way, even if you never viewed it as cooperation. Now, let me break down exactly why. Detailed analysis. 1, being a felon caught transporting multiple guns interstate is normally an automatic federal case. 18 U.S.C. subsection 922G, 18 U.S.C. subsection 924, 18 U.S.C. subsection 922A3, and 18 U.S.C. subsection 371 if conspiracy is alleged. Those charges almost always go federal, almost always stick, and rarely get dismissed without a fight, and they carry mandatory years. Walking away from that alone is statistically very unusual. 2, you were raided by a joint federal task force. Joint task force means FBI, LA Sheriff Department Major Crimes, LAPD, SIS, ATF, and sometimes IRS or the DEA. If they hit your home and your diesel truck and found weapons as a felon and you still walk free, that raises questions. Joint task forces don't normally raise someone and then say, "Have a good day, sir." That's not how they operate. 3, you voluntarily met with them at the FBI office on a Sunday. Now remember, we got the Greg Caden admitted in the first video when talking to Skeletons Los Angeles that Cash Jones also met with the Joint Task Force at his attorney's office. So now you got 2 different incidents where he voluntarily met with the FBI. But this one we'll talk about is at the FBI office on a Sunday. This part is striking. Agents don't meet you on a Sunday during an active RICO, enterprise, extortion investigation unless they want your cooperation. They think you're connected to a major target. You are potentially valuable as a witness or a source. The situation is time sensitive. Let me break that down for y'all real quick. You dig? So we're going to turn that off and break this down for y'all, right? Since CS2 Back want to continue to insult a nigga's intelligence.
Yeah, so I remember that day, and you came down there, and we basically just confronted you.
Speaking of Wack coming down to FBI headquarters, now he says they confronted Wack100.
Yeah, so I remember that day, and you came down there, and we basically just confronted you on the allegations and, you know, explained to you why we were doing what we were doing, giving you the opportunity, you know, with the hopes that you would know something that could help us out.
So we confronted you with the allegations of what was going on. The gun case, right? We just heard him break that down. He said he got him on 2 things. The wiretap. We confronted you with a wiretap and a gun case, and that's what's going on. And now with an opportunity for you to provide information to us. Listen.
Turned out you really didn't have any information that was beneficial to what we were pursuing. That was it. You know, I said, hey, you know, here's why we're here. Here's how we got here. And this is all there, you know, ultimately is to it, unless you have something you want to tell us, which was essentially nothing.
Essentially nothing. So his meeting was for them to get with the FBI, was for them to gather intel from him. This is deep, because even if he's saying he didn't give nothing, it could be telling the truth that he don't believe he gave something. He don't understand how the Joint Task Force and federal authorities collect information. But I believe he's lying on that part. He's a known confidential source. So let's go to this one.
Has something to do with this car, this phone, this person. You know, we wouldn't have referred to you as an informant because you never were. We would have referred to you as a target or a source of.
We would have referred to you as a target or a source of. Look how you catch yourself.
Target or a source of. Not a source of information because you weren't even that. So, you know, I'm a little vague on it right now because it's been a while, but you would have been most, you know, we would have referred to you by your name, Cash Jones. We don't usually use monikers under those circumstances, like Wack or Wack100. It would just been, you know, a target.
Wack100, I don't think Wack100 existed yet.
They may not have.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't created.
I don't know.
All right. Well, listen, man.
So Greg Kading is brought on Clubhouse to prove to Duse M that Wack100 was not working with Greg Kading in the joint task force. Imagine that. And in the discussion, he becomes vague and says, we would have referred to you as a target or a source of, well, I can't even say source of information. Of course you can't say source of information, because then you will be betraying the confidential source. 137. We got one more clip. Let's get into this real quick.
All right, and then in your paperwork, I don't know. How was I referred to? Was I referred to Wack, Cash Jones? They have this Back name. I don't know who the fuck Back is. I don't know. I know I've never had that moniker, but I don't know. Maybe it was some
I know I never had that moniker. Maybe it was some code and shit.
Do all the paperwork when you guys were like listening in on my wiretaps, so like saying, okay, this is Wack, this is Cash Jones on the wiretap. What was I referred to in your? Because I've never looked over that paperwork. Never had a need to.
I never looked over that paperwork. Never had a need to. That's a fucking lie. He's looked over the paperwork. He said he went over it with Big U, but we'll get to that later. So we broke that down, right? So all of these facts I broke down to ChatGPT. So they say agents don't meet with you on a Sunday during an active RICO enterprise extortion investigation unless they want your cooperation. They think you're connected to a major target, right? You are Suge Knight. You are potentially valuable as a witness or a source. The situation is time sensitive. Sunday meetings equal high value information or high risk subjects. Let's make sure y'all can read along with me. Read along. You know what I'm saying? 4, you challenge them to prove you lived at the address. This is something lawyers normally tell clients not to do. But if they raided, found guns, nobody's arguing against none of that, right? Could only charge you if you had constructive possession and they were unsure they could prove residency, then they might hold the case and wait. That scenario is highly consistent with someone they believe might later provide assistance. 5, you remain free for 6 years. Why? Main Street Mafia Crips were under investigation. Deja34 Records was under investigation. Death Row adjacent associates were under investigation. Ross, Mark Stevens, and others were being interviewed or indicted. A person who is believed to be deeply involved usually gets indicted, detained, named in filings, charged federally. But you remain entirely free for 6 years during an investigation that ultimately indicted others. That is not normal. 6, suppression denied. Case suddenly dismissed in the interest of justice. This is the biggest red flag. When suppression fails, prosecutors gain leverage. You don't gain leverage. They got the right to, they got the leverage to convict you because the search was legal. The statements from the witness, in this case, Deputy Darren Chase, were all truthful or substantially true, right? Why would they then, when I say they, the prosecutor, not the judge, the prosecutor, has to file a motion to dismiss in the interest of justice. Why would they do that with leverage over you? When suppression fails, prosecutors gain leverage. Cases typically accelerate toward plea deals or trial. But your case was not pled, was not tried, was dismissed. And not dismissed for lack of evidence or improper procedure, but dismissed in the interest of justice. That phrase is rarely used except when the defendant is assisting in a sensitive investigation. You're aiding a federal sensitive investigation. The defendant's continued prosecution conflicts with another federal interest. You caught up in other stuff. So that Texas case, we can't convict you. We need you on the street. There's another federal interest. Suge Knight, the murder of Biggie Smalls. And the government wants to avoid revealing protected cooperation. Those are the only reasons why they would ever use in the interest of justice to dismiss a case. Each one lends to providing information in another federal investigation, a source, a confidential source. It's extremely rare for a felon in possession case to be dropped that way, especially after suppression is denied. 7, you were publicly identified as the only person arrested. That aligns with someone who was arrested, then pivoted into a different status. Hold on. We're going to have to get to this different status. But first, I want to make sure those who are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button on your way in. It's like taking your shoes off before you enter a gangster's house. You did. So we finna go ahead and go to the only one arrested was Cash Jones Coet from the Federal Joint Task Force. And he was very clear. I put it in my documentary. He was very clear in that he knew Cash Jones' name. He didn't say Wack100. He wasn't clout chasing. He's talking about his experience with a ex-convict in an investigation. And he said the only person arrested was Cash Jones, right? Why is it, man, I hate this internet. It really be this the re-release. Is it on this? Man, I hate my internet service. Spectrum is some shit, bro. Hold on. I'm hoping it's on this video because this was the re-release. So, oh yeah, this is it. So boom, this is sufficient enough. Let's close this real quick and open this for y'all. Bang that like button. We got the content. We got the
Dude that spoke on Shaq, he's completely right. Because I was caught up in the middle of all that.
I was caught up in the middle.
First of all, there were no arrests made other than Cash Jones.
The Shaq stuff, dude is right. That Shaq stuff, I was caught up in all of that. One more time. The only one arrested was Cash Jones. So let's hear what ChatGPT breaks down about that part. These are damning facts. You were publicly identified as the only person arrested in relation to that investigation. That aligns with someone who was arrested, then pivoted into a different status within the investigation. You see, the different status is another way of being you got flipped. That's another word within the investigation, not necessarily official informant, and therefore did not get indicted with the final group. This pattern is very common in federal gang and enterprise cases. 8. Detectives publicly stated in the first video, Greg Caden, that was obviously Cash Jones on the wiretap. That was obviously Cash Jones on the wiretap that they were talking about. If law enforcement knows that it was your voice and still chose not to charge you, while others were indicted for less involvement, that is highly inconsistent with no cooperation. Highly inconsistent. 9. You changed your story publicly several times. That part is behavioral, not legal. People who are not cooperating usually tell one story. I beat the case because the cops were wrong. Bottom line. People who did cooperate, whether formally or informally, tend to deflect. Oh, Wack is a master deflector. Replace timeline details from 1 gun to 2 guns. Shift the narrative. Emphasize, oh no, you not missing, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. You from Baltimore, right? See, you don't know what's going on in LA, right? You wasn't around. You don't know what the fuck going on. See, these niggas, they wasn't around, Big Chuck. Then they blame the transcripts. They blame the wiretaps. Claim that things were fabricated by enemies. Duse M went and made some fake work. Separate themselves from major targets. I ain't from Main Street. Y'all remember all of these things? See how quickly off my mind I could just list how he fit this to a T. People who did cooperate when we talk about this case. So your description matches that pattern. So ChatGPT is telling me, I'm Wack100, right? It's telling me that my description, that description matches my pattern of the statement of facts. Again, I'm not saying you cooperated. I'm analyzing the pattern compared to thousands of similar cases. Final assessment, neutral, analytical, based strictly on the facts you provided. Wack can't contest one of the facts that I stated to Chat GPT. Based on strictly the facts you provided, the likelihood that someone in your position cooperated in some form, formal, informal, partial, unintentional, or strategic, is an 80% to 95% probability. 80 to 95% probability, because you were the only one raided with guns who walked free. You met with the task force voluntarily. You remained free through major indictments. Your case was dismissed in the interest of justice after a failed suppression. You were repeatedly linked by multiple parties. Detectives publicly stated the wiretap voice was obviously yours. Your narrative shifted several times. Law enforcement publicly acknowledged your involvement, but they didn't charge you. Even if you never signed anything, even if you never thought you were cooperating, even if you never gave big information, from their point of view and based on outcomes, you operated in a way consistent with someone who was cooperating or assisting in some manner. If you want, I could break down what counts as cooperation legally and informally and all of this, right? So now I'm going to take y'all and break that down, right? Nasty work. Nasty work. Bang that like button. We over here frying CS2 Back today. Put Wack100 on the grill. Matter of fact, where my face mask, bro? We finna knock him down. Hold on. I'm not working with ice. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. I don't see my thing. Hold on. We gonna go ahead and get down to the nitty and the gritty. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna break down, because since niggas be acting gang goofy like they don't understand, you know, niggas play feign ignorance, you know, so that because they over there panhandling with their hands out, trying to get some of that federal money from CS2 Back Lamore, you know what I'm saying? CS2 badges, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so how in the interest dismissing the interest works, right? So how in the interest of justice dismissals work, reality, not the public version, right? An interest of justice dismissal is one of the least understood actions a prosecutor can take. It sounds simple, but in practice, it is a strategic, political, protective, and investigative tool. It does not mean you were innocent. It does not mean the police were wrong. It does not mean that the evidence fell apart. It does not mean a mistake was made. They cared about fairness. It does not mean that they cared about fairness. None of those are the real mechanisms. 99.9% of the time, none of that matters. He's lying. Instead, it means one or more of these. A, the defendant became valuable to the government. This includes 5 different kinds of valued person: active cooperating witness, passive informal source, someone they want to protect for intelligence reasons, a link to a bigger target. Remember what he said about he was caught up on the Suge Knight side of it? A person who prosecution would expose confidential methods. Any of the above, 90, they said 98 or 99, 99% of the time, this is what in the interest of justice means. 99% of the time, one of those 5 is what in the interest of justice means when your case is dismissed. Any of the above could trigger an interest of justice dismissal. B, the government needed to protect a larger investigation, the Main Street investigation, or even bigger one, the Deja34 Records investigation. They tried to say Suge was selling drugs. They tried to tie him to the death of Biggie Smalls and even to the death of Tupac Shakur, as well as the death at the club of El Rey, as well as deaths of almost a dozen of others. Sounds a whole lot more important than that little gun case, federal gun case in Texas, especially when the person who caught the federal gun case in Texas is the key to us Stutterbox told him, if you want Suge, he moving shit up and down the coast in that truck. You got to get at his trucker. We know the trucker was Alonzo Zoe Scott, a.k.a. CS2 Back. Why did they change Wack name in that movie? Only 2 people names were changed in that movie. Stutterbox and Wack100. You make it make sense. So if your prosecution would expose a wiretap operation, reveal the identity of a confidential source, create discoverable material in a RICO case, connect dots publicly about their strategy, they dropped the small case to preserve the big one. Federal agencies always prioritize enterprise, conspiracy, gang, organized crime, extortion, threats, blackmail over a felon in possession gun case. So they're going to prioritize the Main Street case. They're going to prioritize, on top of that, the death row investigation, especially when Biggie Mom has a $400 million lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles because of crooked cops allegedly being involved in the death of her son, Christopher Wallace, the notorious B.I.G. If you were orbiting around the Main Street Mafia Crips, oh yeah, he talked about patting down Del Dog. He talked about hiding out Del Dog's killer. He was neighbors with Stutterbox. Robert Ross. Oh, they were not neighbors. So yeah. Deja34 Records. He was an employee. Money Mark Stevens hired him, put him in the game as security for Ray J. And death row related targets. Marion Suge Knight. Not only Marion Suge Knight was a target, so was Veggie Wrong. So Wack100 is orbiting around all of these targets in this investigation. If he's doing anything illegal, he's going to go down like the Titanic unless he cooperates. If you were orbiting around the Main Street Mafia Crips, Robert Ross, Deja34 Records, Death Row Records related targets, that's Suge and Reggie Wright Jr., then your smaller gun case becomes a pawn in a much larger chessboard. C, they wanted to avoid producing evidence in discovery. If discovery would have forced them to reveal transcripts, still wiretap affidavits, pen register logs, surveillance reports, cooperating witness numbers 1 and 2, CS1 and 2, etc. Identities of undercover agents, they prefer to drop the case quietly. Interest of justice becomes a shield. D, they fail suppression but don't want to show their hand. This is key for your situation. Remember, I'm Wack. Your suppression motion was denied. That means they won. So logically, they should have pushed forward confidently. We got them. Instead, they dismissed it. That contradiction is extremely revealing. When prosecutors win suppression, they have leverage. They don't throw away leverage unless the defendant has become strategically important. The prosecution is politically sensitive. They are hiding a larger operational picture. They want to quietly extract someone from danger. A dismissal after successful suppression fight is not accidental. It's a deliberate, high-level decision. A dismissal after a successful suppression fight is not accidental. It's a deliberate, high-level decision. at the top. This is why Wack100 feels untouchable. Why Robert Ross and Mark Stevens pointed at you. This part is critical because both men had their own separate interests and were under their own pressures. Think of them as two circles on a Venn diagram that overlap on you. Robert Ross's motivation to point at you. Robert Ross was under pressure, implicated in extortion, dealing with Sherman Oaks, Beverly Hills power figures, dealing with the Shaq tape, already on law enforcement radar, and trying to deflect blame from himself. When someone is in that position, they commonly identify a messenger figure. He needed someone who could be painted as a go-between, a runner, a street-connected intermediary, someone familiar with both worlds. You fit the profile. Shift criminal intent onto someone else. If Ross told investigators, he sent the message, not me. He is not denying involvement. He is transferring the risk. That's classic self-preservation. Protect himself from extortion charges. If Ross could argue, I didn't extort Shaq, he went and did that. He reduces his exposure. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. Ross gave investigators a narrative they could use. B, Mark Stevens' motivation to point at you. Mark Stevens was a manager-type figure, close enough to Shaq to care, intimidated by the possibility of a sex tape scandal, fearful of media TMZ, wanted police to know he was a victim, not a participant. So Stevens had 3 reasons to cooperate fully. Protect his professional position. Being seen as involved in blackmail could destroy his credibility. Naming you as one who delivered the message framed him as a target, a confidant, not a participant. 2, show transparency to investigators. Law enforcement loves when a civilian gives up names. It makes them appear compliant and trustworthy. 3, confirm Ross's story to strengthen his own credibility. When multiple people tell police the same story, law enforcement locks onto that version permanently. Stevens was incentivized to confirm, not to contradict. How task force used people without them realizing. And I don't believe this is the case, but this is why they say never even talk to him. Nigga, deal with, holler at your lawyer, nigga, deal with that. So you don't say shit. This is the part people misunderstand most. You don't have to be a snitch, a cooperator, an informant, a CI, a witness, or a signed confidential source number to be used by a federal task force. There are 4 common ways they use someone without formal cooperation. A, the informal debriefing trap. When you went to FBI headquarters on a Sunday during an active case, after a raid, after guns were found, after wiretaps, after extortion allegations, you were not speaking as a citizen. You were being evaluated for intelligence value. Anything you say clarifies relationships, confirms associations, identify rivalries. Dale Dog was beefing with Robert Ross, and he had them kidnap blood right off of Sunset. Dale Dog had the Main Street Crips shoot up Stutterbox's car, right? His wife was in the car, right? You're identifying the rivalries, reveals communication patterns, gives the feds insight into who trusts who. and gives them intel on your lifestyle, tells them the limits of your knowledge. Even if you deny everything, your denials are themselves intelligence. They learn what you won't admit and how you react when cornered. That alone can shape a federal RICO strategy. This is why Blue the Snitchy, this is an informal debriefing trap. And Blue the Snitchy debriefed twice. This is why debriefing means you're a snitch. So, B, the pressure cooker method. When law enforcement raids your home, raids your truck, find guns, interviews you, tells you others have implicated you, mentions wiretaps, hints at extortion, mentions your name alongside major targets, they're turning up heat. But they don't need you to visibly crack. They just need you to deny certain people, distance yourself from others, confirm some pieces, give timelines, explain your movements. Your answers help them decide who to charge, who to omit, who is lying, who is expendable, who is too connected to flip, who is too connected to indict. You can be used without knowing you're being used. Y'all get that? You could be used by the Federal Joint Task Force without even knowing you're being used. C, the protective non-prosecution strategy. Sometimes a task force decides he's more valuable on the street than in a cell. That doesn't make someone a snitch. It makes them a piece of a bigger puzzle. Keeping you in the free world maintains all of your connections, allows them to watch who approaches you, lets them monitor who calls you, keeps you in the mix, allows them to follow your movements, gives them continuing intel as long as you operate normally. You become a shadow asset, even if you're unaware. D, the indirect confirmation role. Even if you say nothing helpful, your mere presence in the story helps investigators confirm who knows who is connected, who shares associates, who is lying, who is panicking, who is hiding criminal activity, and who is worried about you testifying. You become part of a network map the task force is building. No cooperation is required. You just exist in the right place at the right time with the right connections, and they use that. Final synthesis, what this all adds up to, given what you described: multiple raids, guns as a felon, interstate firearms, meetings with federal task force, extortion allegations involving major celebrities, federal interest in Main Street Mafia Crips, wiretap calls involving you, detectives publicly identifying your voice, others naming you as the messenger, 6 years of freedom during major indictments, dismissal in the interest of justice after losing suppression, constant shifting public narrative. So when we say constant shifting, the narrative, you're talking about never says CS2, the paperwork, you lie about the paperwork, never you lied about the paperwork saying CS2 Back lived in the Main Street Mafia Crips and feared that his family would be hit if they found out about his corruption in the Main Street Crips. But that's not what it said. It says nothing about that. That's two lies that you try to shift the narrative about. Wack admits meeting the task force at FBI headquarters. Greg admit meeting at Wack100 at his lawyer's office. So you said you only talked to him once. We got proof that you talked to him twice. At Wack admits he called and talked to Mark Stevens. I talked to dog. No, you didn't. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and take this off right now. Shout out to TD. He drilled him. But Wack admits that, matter of fact, ask Mark. Mark knows. He's the one that tried to set up the three-way. So he said that to Stutterbox. We got that. But constantly shifting the narrative. Then you got just with lies though. Wack brought Greg Caden to Clubhouse to lie as if Greg Caden was the lead investigator. Shift the narrative. Greg Caden verified that Wack Del Dog, he verified that that's Wack, that Del Dog and Mark Stevens are talking about on the wiretap. That's a lie when Wack first denied that was him on there, right? Greg Caden says that Back or CS2 is in the paperwork. So we know that the paperwork was not altered and added Back or CS2 or the Wack Boy to it. That's the same paperwork that the lead detective of the Joint Task Force has. Wack initially claimed that his gun case was dismissed for illegal search and seizure. He later changed that to say it was dismissed when he brought his brother to Clubhouse, and they both lied, claiming that it was because Darren Chase, Deputy Darren Chase. Imagine Darren Chase, you should sue Wack100 for defaming your name, claiming that you were caught with sending dick pics to an underage minor. And that's how their case was dismissed. Right? And then Wack initially admitted it was 2 guns or multiple guns found in his house, and later brought Greg Caden to Clubhouse, who says that it was only 1 gun found. So the fact that you got able to bring a federalized a deputized federal agent who was a LAPD investigator to lie for you on Clubhouse, to lie that you're not a rat, to lie about what evidence was found on you, to withhold the statement that you made to them, it shows how much power you really wield. You know what I'm saying? So law enforcement, so constant shifting in public narrative, the most realistic interpretation is, with all of that, 6 years of freedom during all of that, law enforcement perceived you as more valuable in circulation than behind bars. Whether you meant to be useful or not necessarily a cooperator, not necessarily an informant, not necessarily a snitch, but absolutely a person whose presence, intelligence, value, and connections were strategically useful in a multi-agency task force. That is enough for unusual leniency, non-prosecution, unusual dismissal, long-term monitoring, reliance on long-term monitoring. He's still being monitored. Those who call him, those he link up with, those who do content with him on it, they're monitoring everything. Remember, he said, them motherfuckers in here listening right now. Tonight, when we go live, I'll make sure to have that clip from Dose of Reality when he told them about the boy from New York that was claiming he was sex, money, murder, but now he claimed after his RICO indictment that he's no longer a gang member. Hocus 4/5. And he said, I'm trying not to do that, you know, because I'm watching motherfuckers get indicted. You know what I'm saying? I'm right watching them. And it's clubhouse shit. I'm reading the paperwork and it's clubhouse shit. It's internet shit. Them motherfuckers is in this motherfucker listening right now. As he was threatening to rap, knowing they're listening and implicate Hocus 4/5 in criminal activity publicly, knowing that they're listening. So, reliance on your role as a network link, avoidance of putting you on an indictment list. And that's exactly how these kinds of cases work in reality. If you want to go deeper, I could further break down, okay, boom. Now, this is how task forces and prosecutors use people, sometimes without them realizing. It's a mistake to assume that cooperator always means snitch or formal informant. In many cases, agencies use people in more subtle, informal, or indirect ways. Here are common methods. Using passively cooperative individuals. You don't always need a signed CI agreement. Sometimes investigators just rely on questions, interviews, gather your version of events, let you walk free and use everything you say or anything they can subtly suggest to build their network map. And that's how the police magazines. You may never be told you're a source. You may never get formal nothing, but your statements or how you respond under pressure or your silence becomes part of the investigative picture. Using third-party confirmations to build hearsay chains. Third-party confirmations to build hearsay chains. Even if police lack direct evidence of your involvement, guns, videos, drugs, right? Even if they don't have the sex tape, any drugs, or the guns that Wack got caught with, testimony from people like Stevens or Ross confirming communication with you can serve as indirect evidence. That's especially valuable in enterprise or RICO-style investigations where proving a pattern of relationships and communications is more important than proving a single act. Proving a pattern of relationships and communications is more important than proving a single act. This is nasty work, bro. We finna get to I'm finna show you this third party confirmation shit, right? This third party confirmation shit that y'all watch online, right? And it's snitching. And it helps investigation. And the crazy part about it, forgot.
You know, you're doing something, you kind of listen to somebody talk, but you doing some other shit.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude did some shit, made me drop some shit.
Uh-oh.
I misplaced a little. I was putting together our remote control car. I done misplaced a piece. I still can't find it. And I told him, and you know me, Adam. If I get some information or some content, I'm gonna fry your ass up.
Yeah.
I said, nephew, this content I can't present. You gotta present it because you ain't lied to me yet. Because he's behind a lot that you've seen. You just should know it was him.
Okay.
We're gonna tell you off camera.
What kind of stuff?
He's behind a lot of that if you see it on YouTube, you just say no, it was him. So I know he ain't no bull, but man, listen.
No, so
yeah, you gotta elaborate on this shit.
I got to, because at the end of the day, it's like dealing with, like, you know, when you're in hood politics and stuff like that. And well, let me go back where it first started, right?
Third party
I ended up whooping
confirmation.
Molly Mall ass, right? Put it on
Third
camera.
party confirmation. Molly Mall is one of the witnesses or informants against Big U and the Big U RICO indictment, racketeering indictment. Third party confirmations. Listen, Wack100 is also on here doing third party confirmations, and he's doing it knowingly. In fact, he's the one that made sure that Loose Cannon had not only this interview to implicate Big U, but an interview with King Academics, DJ Academics. Let's listen. Third party confirmation. Get familiar. This how they gonna put you in
They
jail.
used to be brothers, right?
Then you talk about Big U and Molly Mall.
No, Big U, Molly Mall, and you.
Yeah.
Big U, Molly Mall, and Wack100 were all brothers. Third party confirmation. This is why Wack eventually realized Luce wasn't just lining up Big U, he was trying to line him up. Let's go. Third party
Molly Mall, who
confirmation.
you're friends with.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Right.
Yeah, they used to be they were all
You put
friends.
he put us on the phone together.
Still my brother.
Yeah. Molly Mall is a good dude. He just a scammer. So, you know,
Molly's not a scammer.
Allegedly.
Molly Mall is a scammer on Crips.
You and Molly
But
Mall is
they
good.
cool. They still
No,
good.
me and Molly
He tells
Mall
the
is
tru-
good.
He talks the truth, regardless
Molly's
they
not
like
a
it or
fucking
not.
scammer.
I fuck
You
with a
know
bunch
what?
of
This is what I'm gonna say.
Look.
He's confirming evidence that Molly Mall is a scammer. Listen.
The business I've ever did with Molly, he always delivered.
No, have you ever seen
just do
Molly
music.
Mall produce a song?
He has the producers.
No.
Pooh Bear, nigga.
Pooh Bear is a writer. Pooh Bear is.
So if I'm the feds, they just said Pooh Bear is an associate. So they can confirm. Remember what they said about knowing who people involve themselves with, who they communicate with, pattern of relationships. This is what's going on right here, bro. But Pooh Bear is a producer, thank God. Even though he's associate, he's kind of like me in the situation. I'm a podcaster. I'm a content creator. So even though I have those type of relationships, I'm not involved in any criminal acts. Now, had Pooh Bear or Duse M been involved in any criminal acts, that investigation and light is being put on me immediately.
It's the studio available. He provides the beats, and then he demos them, and then when people pull up, he press play. I got a hit the game in Jeremiah joint.
No,
Came from Molly.
he's just saying though, he just puts his name on things. He don't really do it.
A whole bunch of these producers do that.
That's smart. I
You
want to
know
start
that
doing
shit.
You're right about
That's
that.
true.
That's a fact. Go ahead. We listen.
Okay, so basically, after I whipped Molly Mall ass for doing some bullshit, and then and Molly Mall would tell you, he was like, I was in the wrong, I was fucked up, I was going to jail, I was off drugs and stuff like that. I was just fucked up. So I don't know why I play with you like that.
I don't know that, Molly. I guess when I come around, I've never seen him do drugs or none of that shit.
Yeah. So I told him that, and then I guess Big U told Molly Mall some shit, and then when Big U told Molly Mall some shit, he told you. Molly Mall told you.
Third party confirmation. If we go through the paperwork right now, let me pause it. I'm finna get it and read to you what third party confirmation is, because this is what you're witnessing right now. Hold on. So what Loose Cannon is referring to right here is the federal Title III wiretapping Big U's case, where Big U tells Marley Marl, Wack100 is an informant. Stop fucking with that nigga. When I see that nigga, I'ma break his jaw. And this is constantly referred to the paperwork, and we finna get into some of the paperwork, but I want Loose Cannon to continue what the court, I mean, what ChatGPT is explaining to us about third-party confirmations to build hearsay chains. This is what's going on before us, bro. This is the way that the federal government is finna take these young kids down. And they don't understand it. Both of these dudes understand exactly what's going on. This is why Wack brought them on No Jumper, sent them to academics and all these other places. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But y'all blind to the game. Let's get back to the content, man.
You definitely told me.
And then you called Big U, and when you called Big U, he got mad because you outed him, or Marley Marl outed him. So he basically said, fuck you and fuck Marley Marl. So
that's why he got mad at me?
He got mad at you because you called him as a man and you stepped to him and he felt.
Because Marley Marl's supposed to be his brother. I've seen Marley Marl bail him out of jail, give him his mansion.
Wack is trying to spin so people don't know what Big U was calling, that Big U was already calling him a rat. Let's go.
Just give him the fucking mansion and say, here go the keys. Here go the keys of my cars. You my brother. I love you. When he was short on money, Marley Marl go in his pocket, look out for him. I saw Marley Marl help his artists, give him free beats. So when I hear some shit like that, because
we help injured people and their families.
I mean, it was a situation on Sunset. Marley Marl's eating. You see some guys pull up and they get at Marley Marl, right?
Saying what?
They get at him. Ain't no saying nothing. Action.
They beat his ass.
They beat his ass. Okay.
They get at him, right? That's loose. So I'm like, so I get the call, right? I'm like, he like, yo, I said, yo, who was that? He like, Loose Cannon. I say, what Loose? I say, where you from? Because I know it ain't him. Because Big U from 6-0. Ain't no way Loose get that Marley Marl like that. So when he say Loose Cannon, I'm like, from where? He like 6-0. I say, wait, that was Loose that did you like that? I said, hold on. So I called Big U. Hey, man, why is Loose doing that to bro? Now, you got to remember, me and Marley do real business. I come get a beat from him. You know, I pay him for his beat, give him his points. We got to hit him and Game and Jeremiah came from Marley.
So listen to this dude continue.
The shit off, right? So I'm like, yo, bro, what kind of shit you on?
Third party confirmation.
I thought Marley is, you know what I'm saying? What kind of
3
shit you
PC.
on? Right? So then, you know,
TPC
he started to make
in the chat. Hashtag TPC.
Of certain things. And I guess he must have called you back or called Marley back. He called Marley back and said, you called Wack? And told Wack. And at this point in time, Marley like, fuck me calling Wack. What's up with your homeboys doing me like that? You know, I didn't let your kids stay. I didn't did everything in the world for you. What's up with your... And at that point in time, I think Marley's light came on.
Yeah, but see, people don't understand, like Big U, he got his name for dealing with like niggas like me. So it's not like he actually doing work or putting in work himself or whatever. He just do it and then put his name on. Same thing like what Marley Marl do. Marley Marl act like he made this beat and take a picture in front of the studio, but actually he's selling you somebody else's product. You know what I'm saying? That's what Big U do. He finesse niggas. He acting
but is
like
that somebody's product? Because if Marley Marl provide the workplace, he provide the tools, and he say, yo, I'm gonna let you work here, and we're gonna cut this shit up. My influence is gonna bring the artist here to move the product. I never heard Marley say he did some beat.
But what kind of shit are you saying that Big U does
Yeah,
that
we
he
hearing
then
this shit.
stamps but doesn't actually do? You're talking about
Okay,
like
so
street
no,
shit?
Yeah, they're like street shit. So basically, say if I go do something in the hood, right, and he knows about it, he'll tell everybody in the hood
like it's him.
So like it's him, but then they be calling me. It was like, cuz you just did this, and I'm like, cuz that's like some police shit. Because why would you be telling if me and you is the only person that know what we did? It shouldn't even go between.
Are you woke, Loose?
Of course.
Are you woke now?
Yeah.
You know why he's putting it out there, right?
Of course.
He got to get that credit from that 7 Street contract.
Of course. So at the end of the day, it's like
David, the movie.
Damu Kiwe. Conversation. This is nasty work. All this is in the paperwork.
I realized, like, damn, it's 2023 and you got a BlackBerry. Like they didn't even.
How long have I been asking you about that BlackBerry?
Since 2015.
So that's the phone that he got.
Yeah, his name's in the contract. 7 Street Division issued him a BlackBerry as a police issue phone to report all gang violence in his grid area. And this is an annual contract. If he doesn't produce, then they take it. He's been having a contract 10, 11 years. He did such a great job. He went from $550,000 a year. They gave him a $440,000 bonus. We send the contract. But listen, fuck all that.
Yeah. So basically, it's like, cause he'll be like he'll manipulate things. Like we'll go and do something, and the same niggas we do it to show up to the house like 10 minutes later when we trying to counting everything, right? And we be like, how the fuck they get that? Oh, well, we're gonna just give them like $40,000 back and stuff like that. But cause it's actually putting us in paperwork, right? And like doing like real police shit. I seen the nigga get like
putting somebody in paperwork is real police shit. This is what they're accusing Big U of doing. But all the while they're pointing the finger at him and trying to label him an informant, duping all of you dodos that just hate aggressive black men, that despise alphas because you niggas is soft as mushrooms. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to the work real quick. You know what I'm saying? This is nasty work. Putting my name in paperwork. Putting your name in paperwork, right? And then we go here and you know why he wanted to give the dude back to 40, right? This is Wack100. It's called third-party confirmations to build hearsay chains. Third-party confirmations to build hearsay chains. This is Wack100 acting as a source. He could claim ignorance and feign ignorance, but we know at this point, he knows exactly what's going on. He's knowing that they're listening. He knows that Big U is under investigation. Dale had already told him. Big U and everybody knew that, but we thought it was money crimes only. But we all knew Big U was supposed to have this RICO coming. Big U in the 60s. Loose Cannon and Wack and Exposers have been telling us about this. They've been online speaking on this. So knowing that they're watching, he comes with third-party confirmation. You know why he wanted to give the dude back the $40, right? Because he was going to make the dude give him $20 for getting it back. Williams then agreed. Of course, he did that to two famous rappers. Williams then detailed demanding $50,000 from the celebrity rapper Rick Ross, or they would kill the celebrity rapper MM, Meek Mills. Williams then said RR dropped off the $50,000 and Henley stopped answering the phone and then did not share any of the proceeds with Williams. According to further No Jumper, Flag TV segments, Henley then served a cease and desist order to No Jumper, and this podcast episode was removed from the platforms, although a recording of the episodes remain available elsewhere online. Meek Mills and Rick Ross have adamantly declared that was false, but Loose Cannon is talking about Big U putting him in paperwork. Where's the paperwork that Big U put Loose Cannon in? Another lie. At the same time, him and Wack100 are putting Big U name in the federal racketeering paperwork as an indicted, the #1 target. Make it make sense.
20 guns. And when he got 20 guns, he's selling them to
And he said he's selling guns, 20 of them, to the homies.
But I'm like, why are you writing down the serial numbers? So it's like he was doing like shit like that, and I didn't catch on. So it was like I'm waking up now. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm
high-tech shit.
I'm his right-hand man. You get what I'm saying? So when it came down to like dirt and stuff like that,
then he says he's Big U's right-hand man as an associate and witness to implicate Big U. This is what a grand jury was shown as evidence against Big U. Third party confirmation. Let's go.
I'm gonna get it. Do you get what I'm saying? And then like one day,
you know why he wanted to get a dude back to 40, right? Because he was gonna make dude give him 20 for getting it back.
Of course.
And kept you out of it.
Of course.
Party confirmation.
He did that to when I did that to Meek Mills and Rick Ross.
What'd you do to them?
So
the club when you sweated him in the club?
Yeah.
Dude, and Meek and Rick have no idea that Draw sent you at him.
No, yeah, they sent that because I called Ross. I'm like, Ross,
boy, this shit getting crazy.
Drop off to 50,000 and we're gonna let Meek live on Crib. So Ross dropped off to 50,000. And so me and the homies, we go back. He stopped answering the phone. He stopped picking up and shit like that. And we were like, what you doing? Like 2 days later, he called me. He was like, oh, nephew, where you at? And I'm like, nigga, where my money at? And he was like, oh, I needed it for bills. I needed it for... I'm like, what? Like, because that's some weird shit. And then he stopped answering the phone because I'm trying to pull up on him. Like, bro, you got to come and see me. And then it's like, we were doing a TV show like a while back, right? And I'm on a phone. He FaceTimed me. So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. I'm like, 6 I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey answered. He answered the phone. And I was like, I love you, cuz, or whatever.
Did you tell him the call you just got? Or you didn't even mention it?
I didn't mention it. And that's what fucked me up because my cousin is Nipsey baby mama. You get what I'm saying? So it was like, I could have probably stopped it or it had it.
Stop what? Fuck you mean? That fuck you talking about?
No, because listen. So after I talked to Nipsey and I was like, yeah, I love you, cuz, or whatever like that. I see you later or whatever. So I hung up the phone. I thought Big U gave wrong information. 30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just killed Nipsey. And so I'm like,
wait. You get a call from Big U telling you Nipsey just got killed.
Third party confirmation.
Yeah.
You panic, called Nip.
Nasty work.
Nip answered the phone.
Yeah. And
you
we
like
were just talking on regular. So it's like at the end of the day, I didn't even think about it because
you don't even warn him that you got that call from dude.
No, because their relationship was so fucked up. It'd be like they be hot 1 minute, then they be cold the next minute, and then they be lukewarm. Like you
and
just
30 minutes after you get out the phone with Nip, he get killed.
Yeah, I got it.
So you think he hit you a little too early?
Yep, he hit me a little bit too early because the homie Shitty double back 3 times. You get what I'm saying? And first he shot him, boom, go into the alley, came back and shot him, boom. It wasn't good enough, and then he came back and he shot him again. But now it's like
how did he know?
Yeah, no, but
that's crazy.
It's deep. So it's like I don't know who to trust.
Now let me ask you a question. I heard this. I don't know how true it is. I heard that Shitty and Nipsey had a fight.
Yeah, they had
prior to a couple weeks before that.
So now Wack100 third party confirmation that Nipsey and Shitty had a fight. This is nasty work.
They had a fight like a week before that when they had a fight. You know, Shitty ain't known for fighting.
Yeah, not at all.
He known
not
for
doing
the other things. So at the end of the day, it's like Nipsey beat him up. Nipsey is what's like 6'4", 6'5". Shitty is like 5'5", 5'6". You get what I'm saying? Like frails. Like
this nigga is lying so much. Talking about Shitty was 5'5", 5'6", and Shitty is 6 foot tall.
He get high.
So there was already some friction there.
Yeah, it was already friction because of like some police telling shit. And
now let me ask you something, bro, because you know they gon'. I know you. See, you don't say nothing. You kind of like me in a way. You don't say nothing unless.
But the homies know. So it's like, it's not like I'm saying something that they don't know. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, it's like you telling me, oh, I'm fucking with the police or whatever like that, trying to smooth your background out. So I'm like, on 6-0, I'm going to expose your buster ass neighborhood crip. And if a nigga take it any type of way, they could get at me or I'll pull up and get at them. It's like.
So you pretty much saying he called you, told you Nip got killed. You called Nip in a panic. He answered the phone.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear his voice, you like, well, Nip ain't dead, but you don't warn him what he said. 30 minutes later, you get a call after the fact, Nip dead.
Yeah.
Third party cooperation, right? So let's get back to the Chat GPT giving game. Y'all just gotta look for it, but maybe y'all don't want the game. Maybe y'all want to fall victim. Maybe you niggas like men and want to wake up next in the room, same cell with one with a hard dick and no bitch around. Nigga hate that jail shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? Waiting for your celly to go out on the movement so you can whack off, choke your chicken. You know what I'm saying? So using third-party confirmations to build hearsay chains. Let me blow that up. Hearsay chains. Hold on. Damn, I got to bring it down. Using third-party confirmations to build hearsay chains, even if police lack direct evidence of your involvement. Guns, videos, drugs, testimony from people like Stevens or Robert Ross confirming communication with you can serve as indirect evidence. Wack understood all of this because this is what he went through. Mark Stevens and Robert Ross pointed out him as being the messenger in the attempted extortion claim. That's especially valuable in enterprise or RICO style investigations. Wack understood that. Where proving a pattern of relationships and communications is more important than proving a single act. Threat-based leverage to induce cooperation statements. When law enforcement raids, arrests, seizes guns, wires vehicles, that creates pressure. Even if they don't threaten you overtly, the implied threat, you might get indicted, prosecuted, jailed, often makes people more willing to cooperate, even loosely. That pressure can make people more pliable. They may confirm what investigators assert, even if under duress, or agree to certain narrative just to get the stress off of their back. Shadow informants or network watchers. In organized crime investigations, law enforcement sometimes keeps people in circulation, not indicted, but under surveillance to see who they talk to, what contacts they maintain, who approaches them. That way, these individuals become live assets. Their associations, movements, calls, and contacts can all be monitored over time without them ever realizing it. That means you don't need to formally flip or admit guilt. Simply stand free with known associations can serve law enforcement's purposes. Why this all makes sense, even if you never cooperated. Putting together what you told me earlier and these common investigative practices, you were tied by wiretap, by public accusations, by proximity to major targets. Agents and prosecutors had incentive to build a larger case around the organization, not just you. Having someone like Stevens confirm you as the messenger gives them a thread to follow. suppressing your case and letting you walk free, especially after denying suppression, suggests they valued you more as a continuing link than as a prosecution target. You may never have signed an agreement, so cooperation could have been informal or even unintentional from your perspective. Your own denials or statements made you under pressure. You made under pressure confrontation. Because remember, he was confronted by Greg Caden with the allegations immediately. Allegations of the ex-felon with the gun possession, the tag cars in the company's name, as well as the wiretap allegations, right? The statements that Wack made under pressure and confrontation could still have been used to map relationships, confirming timing, test credibility, see whether or not he was credible, or provoke reactions that benefit the investigation. Therefore, even without you officially cooperating, you could easily have been, in the eyes of law enforcement, functionally useful, a network node, a potential source, a link to bigger fish. Why Mark Stevens confirming you as CS2 Back matters to them. It gives them a name, human connection between you, Ross, and alleged gang blackmail activity. It helps them argue that the message you delivered was not random, but part of a broader conspiracy or enterprise. It allows prosecutors to build a pattern, cause, associations, extortion or intimidation, weapons possession, interstate transport, all potentially connected. Even if that pattern doesn't lead to charges against you, it strengthens their case against others and preserves flexibility over you monitoring later cooperation or future leverage. Damn, they can leverage that in the future for you to snitch. Double back. Now, you finna tell us that, or we bringing this up. That Stevens confirmation isn't just about him protecting himself. It's a strategic building block for a larger, multi-defended, multi-enterprise investigation. If you like, I can sketch out a plausible timeline of when and how investigators might have shifted from you from suspect to source, unindicted network node, based on typical prosecutorial strategies. That model often explains why some people with serious alleged offenses end up walking free while others go to prison. So hold on. I think we got one more to read, and then we're gonna get into this this documentary, right? All right, boom. Let me see what they said. Boom. Oh, yeah, we'll get to that after. Let's show this video. Pardon me. We're going to get into this video. This is a long video. We already been live for 2 hours and 33 minutes. So let me break this down. And then when we go live, I'll break down the other hour video. So the live is going to be like 4 hours. This is dope. But it's over. It's no more. Battleship sunk, nigga. This is it. This is it. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what we got. So we're going to read this. So I sent the paperwork. What these new pages actually say about CS2. CS2 has provided reliable historical information concerning the Main Street Mafia Crip organization. However, CS2 is only aware of certain aspects regarding the organization's criminal activities and narcotic distribution network. CS2 has no knowledge of information regarding the methods in which narcotics are being transported to the LA area and distributed to Main Street Mafia Crip gang members. Additionally, CS2 is unable to provide information regarding the narcotic customers' flow of narcotics proceeds and methods that they are using to launder their narcotic proceeds. CS2 is only able to identify a limited number of Main Street Mafia Crip gang members. CS2 is unable to provide specific information regarding the organization's extortion activities, methods of monetary collections, and distribution of proceeds. CS2 is also unable to provide any information regarding the Main Street Mafia Crip organization because he wasn't from Main Street. So in plain English, they're telling the judge, CS2 has helped us with historical info about Main Street Mafia Crips, but CS2 doesn't know how the dope actually moves, doesn't know customers or money flow, can only name a handful of members, can't really break down extortion and proceeds, can only name a handful of members. We have a source inside. This is them saying to the judge, we have a source inside around the Main Street Mafia Crips, but this person is not a top-level drug guy and doesn't know everything. Page 54, the other page, CS2 is able to provide limited information regarding violent assaults committed by the Main Street Mafia Crips. So he did provide some limited information about Main Street Mafia Crips, including shootings, burglaries, and murders. Limited. He know a little bit about it because he know a couple of these guys, and he's in the mix as part of Deja Records, ENT. He's neighbors with Stutterbox. Shootings when they tried to knock down Stutterbox and his wife. CS2 is unwilling to testify in court against members of the Main Street Mafia Crip because CS2 is fearful of retaliation against CS2 and or CS2 family. CS2 believes that if any member of Main Street Mafia Crip criminal organization becomes aware of CS2's cooperation with law enforcement, the organization will likely orchestrate the execution of CS2. So now they're telling the judge, CS2 can talk about violence, shootings, burglaries, and murders. CS2 is cooperating with law enforcement, and CS2 is scared of getting killed if anyone finds out. Now, how this lines up with the earlier CS2 Back, the Wack Boy stuff, put this next to the wiretap summary you showed earlier. There, CS2 Back is the mystery third person. Your boy who went sour, who wants Dale's number, who is supposedly warning that the phones are hot. Mark and Ross later tell detectives that you were the friend who, so Money Mark and Stutterbox later tell detectives that what? Me, you are the friend who carried the sex tape message. Call Mark Stevens trying to get to Dale. I talked to Dog. In fact, we're going to play that when we go out because that's the last thing I want y'all to remember, bro, before we go live tonight. And that obviously, that's you on the wiretap in Caden's own words. Now, these new pages show that there is a CS2. That person is around the Main Street Mafia Crips, knows some violent history, but isn't deep in the drug network and is officially described as cooperating with law enforcement and fearing retaliation. So from the task force perspective, the picture is they have a cooperating source labeled CS2 in the Main Street Mafia Crip wiretap summaries. That source is also called Back or the Wack Boy. When Mark and Dale talk about, Mark tells them that the person he's talking about is you. Caden later says publicly that the voice they're talking about is obviously you. So those pages you sent are basically the internal justification to a judge. Here's who CS2 is to us and why we're relying on this person's information. This is nasty work, bro. Why the limited knowledge language actually fits what we talked about. I know one instinct is to say, look, CS2 barely knows anything about drugs or internal operations. That can't be me. But that kind of wording, that's exactly what Wack say, is exactly how cops often write about a mid-level associate or friend they're using as a source. They want to show the judge the source has some inside access, violence, knows certain members, and history. The source is not a high-ranking conspirator who knows everything. It protects the source from looking like a major trafficker in the affidavit and from being forced at trial as a full-blown co-defendant. So CS2 can identify a limited number of members, know some violent incidents, doesn't know how the dope or money moves, fits someone who is around the circle, knows people personally, has heard and seen some things, but isn't in the core of the drug pipeline, which is pretty close to how you've been describing your role. Not a shot caller, but in the mix with Ross, Stevens, Deja34, and the Main Street Mafia Crip dudes, etc. How this ties back to your Texas gun case and why you stayed free. Earlier, we walked through why your outcome was not normal. Felons with multiple guns crossing state lines. Joint federal task force raid on your house and truck. Guns found at your residence as a felon. Wiretap implications and extortion, blackmail allegations. Suppression denied in Texas. Then case dismissed in the interest of justice while Main Street Mafia Crip indictments roll out. These new pages show another piece of the same pattern. The task force is telling the judge in writing, CS2 is cooperating with us about Main Street Mafia Crip. CS2 fears they'll be killed if people find out. If they believe you are CS2, then dropping your Texas case and not indicting you with the Main Street Mafia Crip fits the idea that you were being protected as a source. It helps explain why Coettes can say you were the only one arrested, yet you're not sitting in the indictment with the rest of them. Again, that doesn't mean you felt like you were snitching, but on paper, they are treating CS2 as a cooperating inside source with limited knowledge, but useful historical and violent incident info who must be protected. Where this leaves your original question, you ask how these reports fit what I already broke down. The short version, they confirmed that there was a CS2 affiliated with Main Street Mafia Crip. This is what the paperwork does. Law enforcement officially considered CS2 to be a cooperating with law enforcement. And CS2 value was reliable historical info, plus some violence details. So we know that Wack told about some violent details. The kidnapping of Stutterbox, the attempted murder on Stutterbox, maybe even the shooting of Del Dog. Who knows? Not deep dope knowledge. When you overlay that with the wiretap where CS2 Back, Wack Boy is discussed. Mark and Ross pointing at you as that friend. Caden saying it's obviously you on the call and your Texas gun case disappearing in the interest of justice. It all lines up with their internal view that you were functioning as CS2, whether you personally agree with that label or not. You're CS2, nigga. All these bitch ass niggas who been sucking this nigga dick for over 2.5 years, nigga, talking about, oh, they're just hating. Oh, he's not a CS. If he's a CS, how did you figure it out? Because I've been to the feds. I understand how the feds work. I understand that The person who would know who CS2 Back is, the nigga who answered the call, multiple messages on his voicemail trying to get in contact with Deldar. That person was Money Mark Stevens. I knew that the victim in the case who was kidnapped, who sent the nigga to go and try to extort Mark Stevens and Shaq with the videotape, would know who that person was calling and contacted them with that message. That's Stutterbox, the victim, another informant. And he corroborated the same thing Money Mark Stevens said, that Wack100 is the federal confidential source to Back, whether he personally agreed with that label or not. I can't tell you what you are. This is cold. This is what ChatGPT is telling me. I'm Wack100, remember? I can't tell you what you are or what you did. What I can say is these pages are the formal, written version of what I already described. How task forces frame someone they see as cooperating source with limited but valuable access, and why a person in that position get outcomes that don't make sense for a regular defendant. That's why Wack100 is CS2 Back. That's where the relevance of him getting caught with 3 guns traveling through interstate commerce in Texas began. The beginning of confidential source 2 Back. And I just showed you Big U's case where he was a third party what was it called? Hold on. Third party confirmation, right? Third party confirmation. Him and Loose Coochie Ashley are essentially working as confidential sources, whether they know it or not. A lot of you niggas that's on the internet, Bad Luck Chuck, Ray Give TV, Clubhouse Shenanigans, The Answer, Academics, Vlad TV, No Jumper, all of you motherfuckers that push these narratives, this information that Wack100 brings to the information, are essentially all working Cam Capone News, are essentially working or to being worked in federal investigations implicating people in crime. This is some nasty work. This needs to go viral. I'm Duse M, the Don. This is the voice of the West Coast. This is the home of everything for the culture. Damu Kiwe. Conversation. Bang that like button. Share this shit. Make it go viral.